All right, welcome back. The interpretation or misinterpretation, if you will, or different forms of interpretation of a court judgment, the Court of Appeal judgment in the local government administration of Osun State has now led to the death of about 6 persons, according to police report. And there has been blame and counter-blame, well, words, literally, between the APC and the PDP as to who is responsible for what and whose persons died more than the other. By the end of the day, we have to look for a way forward. We cannot continue to accommodate the politics of violence where people have to pay for their lives. And that's why we're having this conversation even 3 days after that incident occurred. Engineer Remy Omowaye, Executive Director, Project Implementation at the Federal Housing Authority, joins us right here in our Lagos studio. The Special Advisor to the Governor of Osun State on Legal Affairs, Mr. Nuruddin Karim, also joins us virtually on the program. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, viewers at home.
So let me begin with where are we right now with that incident as far as the political landscape and the legalese is concerned?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I would want to commensurate with families of the lost one. It's quite unfortunate that we lost a lot of people. And I must also thank God that I'm alive today because I also narrowly escaped being killed 3 days ago. My vehicle was ridden with gun bullets. Nobody believed I would survive, but I really thank God. One thing is just clear. Law is not emotion. It's straightforward. There's a Court of Appeal judgment. We sought, in our release, we sought some orders, and part of the orders is that the local government validly elected council members, the chairman and the councillors, should be reinstated back to the council, which the Court of Appeal granted. In their statement, they said your appeal is meritorious and allowed. Court of Appeal judgment usually comes in 3 forms. It's either they tell you it is allowed, or they tell you it is allowed in part, or they disallow it. So if they tell you it is allowed, what that means is all your relief has been approved, has been granted. But if they tell you it is allowed in part, they would now list which part of the reliefs that is allowed. So, but in this judgment, it is straightforward. It is clear that all our appeal has been allowed, which includes returning this validly elected council chairman and councillor back to office. They were taken out of office based on the Federal High Court judgment of November 25th, 2022. And the governor of Osun on November 27, 2022, inked his executive order based on the Federal High Court judgment, asking them to vacate office. And we were not pleased with that judgment. We approached, in APC, we approached the Court of Appeal, and we sought a number of relief, and the Court of Appeal granted it. So it's a straightforward thing, and there's no need to beating about the bush. The Constitution of Nigeria is so clear about it. The 1999 Constitution, Section 287, subsection 2 says, the decision of the Court of Appeal shall be enforced in any part of the country by all authority and all people. So the police, the DSS, even the government himself is also part of authority. So we must not flout the Constitution of Nigeria. We must all adhere to the decision of the Court of Appeal.
But one of the things that the PDP is saying is that the All Progressives Congress resorted to self-help in enforcing the judgment, even if they assumed without conceding that indeed the Court of Appeal granted the reliefs of the APC, which was the reinstatement of the sacked local government chairpersons, that you were supposed to resort to the court in implementing the judgment. How do you react to this?
That's not true. Why will you go back to the court? The court had given a final judgment, and it is clear. And the police requested for the certified true copy of the judgment. And according to the Constitution of Nigeria, the police are meant to enforce judgment, and as well as the authority. I just quoted the section of the Constitution of Nigeria, 287, subsection 2, the decision of the Court of Appeal shall, not may, shall be enforced. So the police insisted that we should get, they want the CCT of the judgment, and they got it. And they say, yes, let's accompany it to the council. So it's simple. We did not resort to self-help. if we resort to self-help, we won't be on the receiving end of the attack. One of the newly reinstated council chairman, Maria Abbas, was brutally murdered. He was killed. I narrowly escaped being killed. Go and check, look at my vehicle, all on the media, was ridden with bullets. So if we resorted to self-help, we won't be on the receiving end. Right. We are a law-abiding party, and that was why we approached the court, and the court gave a clear judgment. And we went to the police, and the police said, okay, you can go to the council. So it's simple.
Mr. Hakim, let's come to you. Maybe you respond to some of the things he said, but I want to read the concluding statement of their law justices. This is Justice Abubakar Muazzulamido. In the circumstance with the resolution of the two issues in favor of the applicant, it follows that this appeal is meritorious and is accordingly allowed. The amended originating summons is hereby struck out for incompetence and consequently all of the costs. And then if you go to that of Justice Isaiah Lufemi Akeju, he said, I've read the lead judgment of my learned brother Abubakar. I agree with the reasoning and conclusion hearing that the appeal has merit. I allow the appeal and abide by the consequential order. I move on to Jane Esienwa Inyang, also is I think one of the justices. I too allow the appeal and set aside the decision and orders of the lower court. I abide by the consequential orders made in the lead judgment. I just need to read so the audience can understand what the judges said. Maybe you're the legal man, you'll be able to break it down, also respond to what our guest right here in Lagos City said.
Thank you. Yeah, on the it's quite unfortunate that the APC as a party and their sacked chairman have decided to be misinforming the world about the Court of Appeal judgment. It is clear the PDP as a party concedes that truly the suit filed in 2022 to challenge the election conducted by Osun was struck out by the Court of Appeal in a judgment delivered on the 10th of February. But it's allowed. Having said that, if we look at the last two sentences of the late judgment, the Court of Appeal explains the consequence, the effects, the implication of the court allowing the appeal by saying, I'm quoting the judgment now, consequently, the case, the suit filed by the PDP is quoted, is cited, the suit is hereby struck out, a cost of 250,000 naira is hereby awarded against the People's Democratic Party. The two sentences, the two last orders made by the court are enough. I've explained enough the consequence of the court allowing the appeal. We should get something right as to the basis, the ground upon which the Court of Appeal struck out the suit of the PDP. The Court of Appeal, out of the four issues formulated by the appellants in court, the first two issues dealt with preliminary issues as to the competence of the suit filed by the PDP, while the third and fourth issues dealt with the substance of the case as to the validity of the election. But the Court of Appeal, while after deciding the first two issues relating to the competence of the suit as to the time the suit was filed, the Court of Appeal held that the trial court, which is the Federal High Court sitting in Osogbo, did not have jurisdiction to have entertained the suit, as the suit was filed before the then OSEC gave the notice of the election. So after deciding the two issues, the Court of Appeal declined to go into the two other issues dealing with whether the election held in 2022 was valid or not. So the court never made any order, any consequential order restating the chairman sacked by the PDP case. Now, having said that, it is unfortunate that my brother in the house there has deliberately decided not to make mention of the case of APP as a party. It is instructive to let the whole world know that in 2022, PDP was not only opposition party in the state, in Osun State. PDP went to court. APP as another party went to court in a separate case challenging the election held by the OSEC then.
So, Mr.
Now,
Hakim, before we get to just a moment, before we get to issue of APP and before my colleague comes in, so what does this Court of Appeal judgment that I read all three judges' position as far as this case is concerned, what does it mean consequently? Because what you're saying in essence is perhaps there are no enforceable order for them to go and be reinstated. Is that what you're saying? Because that's what they are saying.
What I was saying is that there is no any executory order of the court to be enforced. And that is why the APC has resorted to separate. The law has the civil mechanism of enforcing the order of any court. So if anybody disturbs them from enforcing the order of the court in their favor, there is a civil mechanism through which they can get the order enforced, because they know there is no any executory order made by the Court of Appeal in that judgment. They could not approach the court to get an order of committer to deal with anybody that disturbs them from enforcing or reaping the fruit of their judgment. So what I'm saying in essence is that yes.
So what's the implication of the court striking out the suit?
The implication was that the PDP as a party never went to court. It was as if, as we speak today, it is as if PDP never went to court, never filed any suit to challenge the election. That's just it. The court never made any order, any consequential order, executive order that's enforceable to reinstate them, because the court never even determined the validity of the election.
Right.
The court never determined the merits of the case. Not any consequential order made by the court.
All right.
It is stated there.
All right, Mr. Karim, Mr. Moy, perhaps you want to respond to some of the things he has said.
Well, we should not be too ambiguous with this. It's a straightforward thing, and I'm glad your colleague read out the judgment and he talked about consequential order. And I'm surprised my brother is giving his own interpretation when it is clear. Now, let me quickly read this to you. We sought about 8 reliefs from the Court of Appeal. These validly elected council members were sacked based on the judgment of the Federal High Court in favor of PDP. And based on that, the governor came up with an executive order. The judgment was given 25th of November 2022. The governor announced their sack on the 27th of November 2022. I heard him talking about APP judgment. APP judgment came 30th November 2022. So they were not sacked based on APP judgment. APC, we were not pleased with the judgment. We approached the Court of Appeal. And these are, I'll just read a few of the reliefs. We sought about 8 reliefs. But, and others are allowing this appeal. But one of the reliefs that is very important is Relief G. He said an order restoring the appellant back into their offices, having duly elected by the citizens of Osun State. And when the Court of Appeal gave judgment, they said your appeal is meritorious and are hereby allowed. And from what your colleague read, the 2 other justices said they also stand by this lead judgment and the consequential orders. It is clear. So why would you come and now say you are not pleased with the judgment? If you are not pleased with the judgment, the sensible thing for you to have done is to also file a notice of appeal to the Supreme Court. We don't have to fight. We don't have to do anything.
Perhaps the PDP is saying that maybe the court should have been clearer in stating clearly, that the appeal that you sought, being the reinstatement of the sacked local government chairman, was stated clearly in the judgment.
Any serious lawyer knows that the Court of Appeal has the way they use their term. Once they tell you your appeal is allowed, what that means is all your ground has been allowed. They can, however, tell you your appeal is allowed in part. If they had told us that our appeal is allowed in part, we had 8 reliefs. They will now list the ones they allowed, or they disallow you completely. So you don't need, the Court of Appeal will not come and say, you have to go and do this, you have to go and do this. No, 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 no. That's not the way they give their judgment. A law graduate of today knows that once they tell you an appeal is allowed, it means all your ground has been allowed. But if they have said your appeal is allowed in part, then they will now list the relief that has been allowed. So even the justice said your consequential order has been allowed. So what other interpretation do they have? They want. This is very straightforward. They know the truth. They are just trying to twist the law. And law is not emotion. It's straightforward. So
I'd like you to quickly respond to the strength of his argument that you are also relying on the APP's suit in court.
I just explained to you that this council member, chairman, were sacked based on a judgment against APC, November 25th. November 27, they were sacked. The APP judgment came after they've been sacked.
Good morning.
Now, the APP went to Court of Appeal. APC went on Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal ruled that APP abandoned their case in the Court of Appeal in January 10 or thereabout. January 22nd, APP filed a motion to release their case in the Court of Appeal to bring it back alive. But in our own case, we had a full judgment February 10, 2025. And we are not concerned with the APP judgment. I'm not a member of APP. I just took time to explain to you that the APP judgment at the lower court didn't even came after these council members had been sacked. They were sacked November 27. They got a judgment which the governor now is executive order on 25th November 2022. They were sacked 27 November 2022. The APP judgment came 30th November. And APP went to Court of Appeal. APC went to Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal ruled January 10 that APP abandoned the appeal. APP filed a motion to release the appeal, January 23rd. APC got a full judgment on February 10th, 2025, that all your the relief that you sought had been approved. They use the word meritorious and are hereby allowed. You will not see any seasoned or reasonable lawyer coming to argue against that. What is expected of them is simple. If you are not in support of the judgment, all you need to do, file notice of appeal to the Supreme Court. It is simple.
All right. Well, it's an ongoing conversation. The most important thing is that APC and PDP and the entire Osun people, you guys have to look for a way. The state has to look for a way to move forward. We don't know what that moving forward means.
No. You are a journalist. Nobody can fault. You can't sit down in your house and fault the judgment of the Court of Appeal that is clear. No. And let me tell you, sir, the Constitution of Nigeria is clear.
We're not arguing about. I'm not debating Court of Appeal. I'm saying everybody is in copy of the judgment, right?
Yes.
You are in copy. They are in copy.
You are also in copy.
We're all in copy.
Yes.
But it is Osun State, the state of Osun.
It's Nigeria. You know what the Constitution said? The Constitution said the decision of the Court of Appeal shall be enforced.
Osun people, the government of Osun, and all the parties must look for a way. There must be a way forward.
No, the simple way forward is for us to obey the law. It's not emotion.
And you know, Remy,
it's not that you feel we should do this. No, it's the law.
He's the executive director of the Project Implementation Federal Housing Authority of Nigeria. Nuruddin Karim is a special advisor to Governor Deleke on legal matters. Gentlemen, I must thank you, and we hope nobody dies again, and there will be a way forward for the state.
Beg the governor.
Well, we'll be back after this time. Join us again in just a moment.